The construction of inexpensive drums is not something that I see discussed very often. People typically will say, well, they're made in Asia, so the labor's cheaper. The workmanship's not as good. They use poorer quality wood, you know, those types of things. And all of that, to some extent, is probably true to varying degrees depending upon what line and what manufacturer. But having recorded drums, all kinds of drums, for over 30 years now, I'd say probably 15, 20 years ago, it just kind of dawned on me the difference, a glaring, once you know to look for it, difference between inexpensive drums and professional drums. And I've never tested until now my sort of observation / theory on that. So a few weeks ago, I came into possession of a late 80s Tama Rockstar bass drum. It's a plastic wrap, gray gun metallic gray, I think is what they called it. Anyway, it's a Luan shell or Philippine mahogany. I think it's a 9-ply shell with 8 plies of Luan. And then the interior ply, which is the visible ply when you look inside the drum, is basswood, which is a nice looking wood. So it looks like a nice drum. It's got 8 lugs per side, which is standard for a 22-inch entry-level drum. Professional 22-inch drums, you'll see, almost always have 10 lugs per side. So that's kind of a tell. And it's less hardware, technically cheaper to make, that kind of thing. So I took this inexpensive drum, I tuned it up, mic'd it, started rolling the camera, rolling the audio, and then I played a groove with a click, and then I went around the front of the drum without stopping anything and just changed the muffling of the drum, and then played the groove again, then changed the muffling again. And I did that several times until I had 8 different variations, which is basically 4 variations of treatment in terms of muffling, and then with or without 10 pounds of added weight. I have some ankle weights that total 10 pounds that I lay on the bottom of the shell to add mass and weight to the shell, which does change the sound. If you've never done that, it's interesting. And I wanted to see both what the stock drum could sound like or does sound like with those treatments and all the same tuning, just to see how the muffling differs, changes the sound. And then repeat that, same tuning, same everything, mic placement, gains, all of that, totally recalled, for the second set of clips with the modified drum. Now, the modified drum, I'm not talking about I changed the head or the tuning or anything. I kept the same heads, kept the same tuning. I actually changed the construction of the drum. And I'm also deliberately not telling you yet what it is that I did, because again, I don't want to color your opinion before you have a chance to hear the clips. What you're going to hear are the 8 audio clips. The first half is the unmodified or stock drum. The second half is the modified, and they're sandwiched right together. So half of the groove is stock and the other half of the groove is modified. I took great pains to repeat everything. I used a Behringer digital mixer so I could use a preset snapshot for all the gain settings and everything. I didn't use my outboard mic preamps or anything. Just wanted to capture the drum with some decent mics and make it totally repeatable. So that's what I've done. I will say this, I did not do the same with my camera. It didn't occur to me, maybe I should mark on the floor where the tripod was, kind of keep the tripod set the same way, mark where the lights were, what settings I had on the camera, all that stuff. I did none of that. Please don't let that, when you see, if you're watching it and while you're listening, you'll see it looks different when you get to the modified audio. But the audio is exact. Okay, one last thing before we get to the audio, and that is I optimized the mic choice and the placement in order to get the best sound I could from the stock bass drum. Then I maintained that simply to show with the modified audio the difference between the modified drum and the stock drum. I wasn't trying to optimize the modified drum. So to say that this is arguably the best stock sound that I could get is fairly true. Without using any additional processing after the fact. It's just the microphones on the drum, by the way. That's probably good to know. And then same with the modified drum. But again, the settings and everything for the modified drum are the same as for the stock drum, which were chosen to optimize the stock drum. Does that make sense? So hopefully that I'm not getting too persnickety or too muddy there. But were I to optimize the audio for the modified drum, I probably would choose a different mic for the inside. And would definitely change my placement back to something that would be a little bit more normal for me. But go ahead and listen to this stuff. Comment on what you hear. Listen to it on different playback systems. Share it and get feedback from other people. I think this is a fun topic. It's very dear to my heart. I don't see people discussing too much about why drums sound the way they do. And to the extent that I do see that audio, I take issue with a lot of it, man. It just does not add up to my experience and the little bit of physics that I know, which is a little, probably enough to be dangerous. But there are still some basic concepts that just defy the common logic about modern drums, or about drums, the modern logic, I guess, about drums and why they sound the way they sound. And I would like to sort of unpack some of that. And I think that'll be fun. So I'm done talking. Here's the audio. Thanks for watching.